There is no fancy intro. Nothing special for today. But regionals are back, and I've had a lot of DMs from friends, others, etc., asking about traveling to tournaments, how to make it the most efficient, all that kind of stuff. So today I'm going to go on a little bit of an in-depth video on what I do specifically to travel versus some of the options. Right now I'm an adult with a job, but I traveled for 4 years almost exclusively with a college student's budget and simply using the earnings that I made back from Pokemon. So kind of wanted to talk about what the most efficient way to do that is, as well as being, a parent with kids, etc. A lot of stuff to cover in the video. It took me a little bit of time to compile everything, the thoughts I wanted to put together. But if you guys enjoy the content, obviously like, subscribe, etc. Preface to the video, I am not going to be discussing what a full regionals day will consist of, like how to prepare for the regionals itself, like competing. That'll be in a separate video because I don't want to mix up the travel and the competition aspect, and don't want to make this video too long because I do think this video is going to be pretty long based on what I have ready to talk about. So before I forget anything, because I'm an old man now, let's just jump right into it. So to lead off with you guys, Pokemon is back. Regionals are back. Everyone has been planning pretty actively, myself included. Important to note, this date from March 25th to 27th is actually wrong. It's 1st to 3rd of April, but they will fix it sooner than later. The main organizer has announced that. But either way, when looking at regionals, you gotta, obviously look at the 6 you have here and decide which ones are feasible for you to go to. There's probably going to be 1 or 2 based on these locations that you can't make. For myself, Vancouver is probably the hardest for me to make due to monetary value, as well as it being Memorial Day weekend, which is a holiday weekend. Therefore, it's going to be more expensive. So when you first sit down and look at the entire schedule, you got to think about which ones you're going to go to, which ones are worth looking at. So that being said, that also extends to internationals. Obviously, these are more fun to go to, Columbus and Frankfurt. And Columbus is a very accessible city and accessible time for people because it's after school lets out, etc. But April, this one is also kind of accessible because of spring break. But you got to think about that first. So first, make a list, make a checklist, kind of put that into a spreadsheet, if you will. That's what I've done. I put my stuff into a spreadsheet, kind of talk about like where I think I'm going to be able to go, what's going to be the most affordable kind of prices, etc. Yeah, so that's the first thing you got to do. No ifs, ands, or buts. Figure out what's in driving distance for you. So if you can drive to some of these, either alone or with some people, carpool with some of your local crowd. If you have not met friends at a local crowd yet, start going to you're going to start meeting people at local car stores. So carpooling is never a bad option. You can usually split gas for something less than 8 hours pretty cheap. It's almost always more efficient to go somewhere less than 8 hours or less via car with like 2 or 3 people, maybe even a car of 4 total, including the driver. So for myself, Secaucus, New Jersey will be the driving regionals because I am in Washington, D.C. area. So this makes sense for me, but the remaining of the 5 will be flying distance. So if you're in the Midwest, etc., like I'm sure everyone has something that's in semi-driving distance if you're fortunate. So start looking into that. That's where I'll start my sermon. So welcome to the Church of Rahul, and we're going to move into regionals travel and how we're going to do things. So I made a little sheet to talk about what to bring for flight stuff purposefully first before I get into anything else. So this kind of covers the stuff to bring in general, including the driving aspects as well as the flying aspects. So I figured that'd be a little bit important to talk about before we kind of hop into travel tips in general. So my rule of thumb is I always make a list before I start. When I start packing, I always make a list, a checklist, something on my phone, something I can easily cross stuff out that I know I've done. I would recommend doing the same. I don't know if you're a list person or you just kind of do it and you're a visual person, but either way, kind of have that available to you. Okay, so deck cards. I bring like 1 to 2 decks, and I keep a staples count. So I bring this white box with me in my carry-on typically that has like, I don't know, it's pretty full. I have to kind of like go through it and fix it, but it's got all my staples I need potentially for decks. I don't really bring extras for other people. You can if you want to. I just, in the interest of space, I do not. I would say keep the important decks cards on you in your backpack that you travel with, because planes do typically lose bags once in a while. It doesn't happen very often, but you don't want to be found. You don't want to be in a situation where your like Shadow Rider deck is in your suitcase that gets lost, etc. Phone charger is huge. Do not forget that. And then a power bank. I think power banks are a very good investment. You're going to be on a flight for a long day. You're going to be traveling. And I'm pretty sure you're going to be on your phone, either watching Netflix, doing something, listening to music while you're at the airport, probably surfing. You're going to be on your phone more than you normally would. So therefore, the battery is going to drain faster. So having a power bank, etc., is very useful. Backpack, carry-on, checked bag. That's the next thing on this list to talk about. Now, I think a backpack, every airline allows it, Spirit Airlines or not. We love to hate on Spirit. I will say that. We love to hate on Frontier. But in college, I flew them both a lot of times because they were a lot cheaper than every other airline. And I traveled with a backpack. Now, when I did that, I traveled with a affordable backpack, right? Something that can kind of distribute the weight on both sides pretty evenly. Any school style like JanSport, whatever backpack. I'll talk about the backpacks in a second as well, but like any school style like JanSport, whatever backpack can kind of carry everything you need to have in a thing. And while I'm traveling, I can put a lot of stuff in here. It's pretty wide and empty. I can put whatever I need into here. And then when I get to the event, I can take stuff out and put it at the hotel room because I don't need to actually carry it with me. Like I don't need to bring all my snacks, whatever with me, right? Like, you know, I can take stuff out. Most airlines, unless you're flying basic economy or like a Spirit Frontier style flight, you will have a carry-on. And your carry-on can be like a pretty sizable suitcase, a duffel bag, etc. So that's where your 1,000 count, your clothes, all that stuff comes in. Checked bags are typically for your economy fares. You get one, depending on the airline, depending on your credit card, you get some more here and there. I typically just never mess with checked bags unless I'm going international. Even if I'm going international, I try to prevent doing a checked bag because I like to keep everything on hand at any given point for myself. It's just a comfort thing. Leaves room for less things to get lost, less room in between layovers, etc., etc. So that's my spiel on those. And if you're doing like Spirit or something, you can get one of those big hiking backpacks or just something that's deep, and they do not care about the size of your backpack. I stress that they do not care about the size of your backpack. So I've literally put like a weekend's plus worth of clothes, my 1,000 count box, decks, and everything in there. I'm just like going on like looking like I'm going on like a hiking trip, and I'm like, hello, it's me, your favorite Boy Scout with like a million cards, and they're just like look at me, roll their eyes, and they're like, yeah, whatever, it's a backpack. Okay, so next up, clothes, underwear, deodorant. Clothes, pre-plan some of your outfits. Dress comfy for the flight. Dude, I'm already at 7 minutes. Wow, this is going very slowly. I'm so sorry. Yeah, all that stuff. Underwear. This is the most important. Extra change of socks. You're going to get sweaty on a flight, whatever. Deodorant, and then please shower. That's like my tidbit. Just like, please be clean at an event. I shower every morning before I head to the regionals, and I have a deodorant stick on me. So, toothbrush and etc., like your toiletries, are low priority, in my opinion. You can get it at most hotel lobbies, but I usually have a toiletry bag on me to kind of keep everything in one place so the toothpaste doesn't explode or whatever, you know. If it does, it's in one place. But if you forget your toothpaste, toothbrush, you can get to the hotel lobby. I frequently do end up forgetting these things because I like have one set of stuff, so I don't like, you know, actively remember sometimes to like grab them out of the bathroom before I leave. And if I do that, the hotel lobbies usually have them. So don't sweat that. I would bring some cash on hand always, just kind of what you need, maybe $100. I don't, because I just think credit cards are more useful unless I'm going internationally. But you should call your credit card company ahead of time as well to kind of set the expectation that you're traveling somewhere so your card doesn't get flagged and frozen while you're out, and then you get screwed. Absolutely. So headphones, movie, book, iPad, electronics. That's kind of like a full like flight entertainment adjacent kind of stuff. I don't know what kind of person you are. I think headphones are a necessity for me. I listen to music pretty frequently, and then if I'm listening to a movie or something, please don't be the guy that please don't be the person, that has it playing out loud. iPads are very useful to watch shows and stuff on because having it on like a small phone sometimes is not the most efficient to like I don't want to sit here on a flight looking like this for, I don't know, like 6 hours if I'm going West Coast. So iPads are something to invest in, something I'm looking to invest in as well. And books. People like to read on flights. Whatever floats your boat. Snacks, stuff like granola bars, bag of chips, whatever you want. You can bring it with you through security. That's important to note. So you don't have to pay the jacked up prices at airports. And an empty water bottle. So bring an empty water bottle that's big enough to be refilled. So as soon as you pass through security at airports, you can fill up that water bottle, and then bam, you have water for the flight. Stay hydrated on the flight. It's a long flight, but not too hydrated because you don't really have to pee in those bathrooms. They're not the greatest. They're pretty small, but that's also because I'm a 6'3" gargantuan, so maybe that's just me. Jackets, light fleece hoodie. I put that as well sparingly because flights and convention centers cannot control the temperature. You can control your own temperature in your hotel room, but at these locations you can't. So I would carry something light, unless you get cold easily, something heavier, so you can just take it off, on a flight if you get too hot. But you can't, if you don't have something on you, you can't put on more layers if you're cold, So I always bring a hoodie with me on flights, or like a light zip up, because I never get too hot or too cold, but I don't like sometimes when I get cold. So obviously that's for that. And shoes, comfortable travel, because like you're traveling all day. You're going to be like moving, and you don't want to be like, I don't know, like stuffy and wearing like dress shoes or like boots or something, and you're like sitting there in like a suit while you're on a plane. So that's my thing, my spiel there. And then medication/gum, that's like whatever. And then use a safe when you get to your hotel for laptops, passports, important documents that you don't want to get stolen, that you don't trust cleaning with, whatever. Be prepared to check your luggage on smaller planes if you're in later boarding groups, important for layovers. So if you fly like a basic or economy or something like that, and you have like a small suitcase and you're on like a American Eagle style like small flight, like a 2x2 row kind of thing, there's a pretty high chance that your carry-on gets checked if you're in a later group. So be prepared for that. If you're going on a flight that has a short layover, like a 40-minute layover, they'll bring it to your drawbridge typically. They won't usually check it to your final, or they'll check it to your final destination. If they check it to your final destination, that's really helpful. But if it's like a drawbridge check-in, it's a little bit annoying. So backpacks. I looked up best MTG backpacks or like card game backpacks, and there's a bunch that are like really efficient to have like stuff in there. If you're like one of those minimalist kind of people, you can pretty much put all your cards into here before you go. I don't like backpacks like this. I just like having a school style backpack, to be completely honest. Like just something like this where I have like, you know, room to do stuff. Like, I mean, school backpacks are good. They're built for like multiple things, right? So you have all that. And then drawstring bags. I used to really like drawstring bags when I go into the venue, because I don't like bringing too much with me. I like to bring my deck, my playmat, my dice, etc. So I can show you guys what's inside my backpack. That's why I pulled it out. Typically in here, I have my playmat. If you have a playmat tube, that's worth it. So I have my playmat. I have my American sleeve that I wear at events. That's usually on me. I've got my 2 decks in here. So deck boxes. And then I have, oh, I dropped my deck. I have my dice bag here. So I've got my dice, everything. And besides that, there is nothing in here. And then I usually put my power bank up front. In the front zipper, and then I have my charger in there. So besides that, I don't typically bring anything else with me into the venue. Maybe some snacks, a water bottle, a can of Monster, something like that comes with me. And also for the purpose of cuteness, here's my neck pillow that I bring to events. It is a Dratini. I have a pillow behind me too, so this is getting really uncomfortable, so I'm just gonna take this off. But I do have a Dratini neck pillow for flights, so that's also something I should mention. This guy, very cute, for comfort. But drawstring bags just do the job just as fine. So if you don't want to spend too much money and just spend like $10 on a drawstring bag, it's fine. So we're going to look at 2 like traveler tips before I kind of jump into my own tips or like see if I miss anything. So preparing for an airport, you want to get there about an hour and a half, whatever, etc. ahead of time. TSA will almost certainly check your cards. That is something that I cannot stress enough. You will almost certainly always get flagged for cards. It is something that just is, it just triggers something in their system. So prepare for it. Yeah, dress down a little bit, like sweats, whatever you want. And have stuff, know where stuff is, so when you go through security, it doesn't take too long. There's just like a pet peeve of mine, getting stuck behind a family that takes forever. But if you know like exactly where your liquids are, your toiletries bag, for example, to pull them out, that kind of stuff, it's much quicker. And electronics, you have to go in a different bin, all that kind of stuff, whatever. And also be nice to TSA people. So there's like 60 rules here. That's too many, honestly. I don't pack a towel because hotels always have them. But if you're going to like an Airbnb or something, definitely pack one. Extra credit cards, sure, that's fine. No fee bank cards are good. Yep, I'll talk about that in a second. These are all kind of okay. Ask hotel staff for information is good. I would always, if you don't know where to go, or like if you need food or something and you don't know where to go and you have like a conflicting idea, always ask hotel staff. They will be very, very amicable and tell you like where to go. Yeah. Don't fly direct is a good one, but I'll talk about that in a sec as well. Okay, we're just gonna skip this thing. Credit cards. If you guys hear about credit cards, this is where I talk about the credit cards, the three best credit cards for travel, in my opinion. So Chase Sapphire Reserve. There's a bunch of. This is the card that I have. This is one I cannot recommend more than anything else. Like this is the best thing. So it does have a $550 annual fee. I'll preface with that. And there's always like a bonus point offer. Right now it looks like 50K bonus points for 4,000 on purchases. And so you have to look at points as like a $1 to $1 kind of thing. 1 cent. A point is a cent, effectively. But Chase Sapphire Reserve is so good because the points are not like miles where you can move these around to different partners that you have. So like Chase has a bunch of partners that it works with, so you can kind of use it on whatever you want. For example, I booked a couple of my hotels for the upcoming season with the Hyatt Regency using only 8,000 bonus points a night. And these Hyatt Regency rooms are very nice, like double queen, like very, very good, like high connected rooms with breakfast. And I spent 24,000 bonus points for 3 nights at what would otherwise be like a $400 a night hotel. So that, to put that in perspective, you get a $300 annual credit. So that's part of your $550. This counts for like flights, gas station, like grocery purchase. It literally, this $300 is just like a free $300 basically. And it goes through like the year you bill it. So when I got my $300 annual credit, I, use it for a flight almost always. And then there's a bunch of points and ways to maximize your points. Now, when you have a credit card like this, I would use it like a debit card and use it pretty much like exclusively, because you don't want to, unless you have like a gas card, I guess, but like this is typically the best way to just earn points, and points go for one across the board, like I said. Yeah, and then there's also, the cards also give you 100, so it also gives you $100 toward, no foreign transaction fees is important, and it gives you $100 towards TSA Pre and Global, which I'll talk about in a second as well. This also gives you, when you book basic economy with United specifically, you get a checked bag and a carry-on as well. So you can book the basic economy fare that's typically like $40 to $50 cheaper domestically. I don't know what it is internationally. I don't even think they have that option actually internationally, but $40 to $50 cheaper domestically for a round trip, maybe less one way. And you get your checked bag and carry-on anyway, so I think that's a huge plus. And it's with everyone you book onto the card as well. So there's more kits, like more, I guess, like bells and whistles to the card. Obviously, let me log onto my Chase and do it in a way so you guys can't see it. So I can pull up some more of the bells and whistles, and I can talk more about the bells and whistles because these do apply across the board a lot of the time. So I do want to talk about some of the bells and whistles while they're available, because I don't know too much about the MX card. But let's see what they have. So they have cashback, dining options, a bunch of partner stuff. You can transfer. You can use it on things like Amazon. You can book flights through this as well, and the Chase Sapphire members get first flights on certain things and experiences as well, like if that's what you're into. But you get like first flights on certain special things. So I can't recommend this more. You also get lounge access with Priority Pass. Also cannot recommend that more because you can get food at the airport if you need it for you and up to 2 people. And if they don't have Priority Pass, if they have a restaurant, you can get $28 value for you and $28 for 2 separate people as well. So that's very, very useful. Okay, we're going to... Thanks, Amex Platinum, my bad. I didn't realize I was trying to buy one. Amex Platinum is also a very similar one. It's much, much better for lounges across the board, but it has very similar benefits to the Chase Sapphire card. It just has a $700 annual fee as opposed to it. But it has better... You get hotel credit, you get Equinox credit, which is, I believe, just like membership fees and stuff. Yeah. Digital entertainment credit for $240. So you're basically like getting all your money back, and you get the clear / like TSA Pre credit here. So you're basically getting all the, like existing stuff, and you get all the points. You get the Uber Cash, the airline fee. Also with your Chase Sapphire card, you get Lyft Premium and DoorDash Premium for free. I forgot to mention those as well. And with Amex, I believe you get Uber Eats and Uber for free, or like the premium service. I don't know if that's a make or break point. I just figured I should mention it. But you get the $200 fee credit. So this one is overall like very similar in terms of Chase. It's just that you get miles, and the Amex points don't transfer as well over to other things. But these are both the 2 best credit cards at the top. I cannot stress that enough. And you can use the points to, obviously, when you go into the search function. I'm not going to log in and show you guys the search function because it kind of gives up all my data. But you can go in and look at the search function and data. And when you go in, it'll give you the option to search for flights under their own like widget. And when you do that, you can see the points value that you would cause to spend. And then you can go to the partners and search through the partners and how much points it would be. And then obviously, it's because it's a 1-to-1 transfer. If the partners is cheaper and it makes more sense, that way you can do it. And you also get blackout flights. Like you get through blackout flights and exclusive flights offers that regular credit card members would not get with both of those credit cards for both the airlines. Yeah. And so Southwest Companion Pass is good if you are a family, have more than one person with you. That's the only way I would think it's good. I don't know much about the details for the Southwest Companion Pass, so forgive me on this one. But it's basically like buying a buy one, get one on Southwest. Now, Southwest, I typically assume if you're flying Southwest, you're a family person, and you have more than one person coming with you. So that's like, you can kind of, if you have like a kid coming with you, it makes a lot more sense because you're getting a buy one, get one, and you're probably going to need a checked bag, or like, because Southwest comes with 2 free checked bags per person. So it kind of, my family loves traveling Southwest when we go to like big things like weddings, etc. So that's kind of my spiel on Southwest Companion Pass. So if your parents need like a better way to bring you to events, and if you're younger, this might be something to kind of pitch to them. I don't have much experience with it. I will apologize for that, but I do know that this card is very good for families. So TSA Pre and Global, what's the difference? If you get Pre, it's domestically. If you get Global, it covers your global enrollment, and it takes a little bit longer to get, but Global also covers Pre. Now, what is TSA Pre? It's that line that you get to do special at the airports. You basically get to you get your own line. You don't have to take out anything out of your bag. You don't have to take off your shoes, like take off all the annoying stuff, and you just kind of go through. And they've already done a background check and all this stuff on you. So you get flagged less, patted down less. Source is me. I am a brown male in the country of America. So before this, I would get patted down quite literally every single time I went. That's not an exaggeration. I actually like make bets with people that I'll get patted down. And I win because I do. But with all that being said, TSA Pre, it's like much more comfortable, all that stuff. And now if you're planning to travel internationally, especially going to Worlds this year, global entry is much quicker. This is for US, Canada people, or US people specifically, sorry. Like if you're not a US person, you can ignore this part. Global is the exact same price as TSA Pre. They're both 5 years, I believe, and your credit card pays for it. Both the credit cards pay for it, so you don't have to worry about it. You just get reimbursed. So this one is also just like really, you get a faster customs and a faster way to come back in. And I have this has saved me so much time when traveling internationally. Like normally customs will take an hour plus, and this has taken me like 5 minutes, if that. And I get to skip all the lines. I get brought straight to the front. It's a godsend, and I cannot recommend Global more. So that being said, Global, get it. If you don't have it already, get it, and the credit cards will pay for it. So now flights. How do I search for flights? What do I go with? I always start with Google Flights first to kind of see. So when you're going for flights, one important thing I got to caveat with is you have to know what your price point is. There is never going to be a time where you book a flight and look back and you can't go, damn, that flight was like $50 cheaper. I should have waited. That is not. It's a gamble. It's always a gamble when booking flights. You cannot think under the guise like. You cannot think under the guise like that you would have made more money or saved more money. If there was a price point that you would have bid on, then you bite on it. It's as simple as that. Because there will be cheaper, they'll be more expensive. There's a chance that me booking my flight 3 months ahead of time, someone could book a flight a day before and it'll be cheaper. Why is that? Simply because they need to fill their seats, or simply because there's a sale that happens. But we're not going to gamble on those. We're not gambling. So Google Flights is the best way to look. I'm from the DC area, so I can look. It'll show you some of the cheap flights already. And if you don't mind flying Spirit or Frontier, stuff's obviously going to be much cheaper. And I will say that straight up because I flew a lot of regionals in the US during my college seasons for less than $100 round trip, which is nuts. I don't think you can ever beat that. Spirit and Frontier, obviously, not the most pleasant flying experiences. Did I care? I was in college. No, I didn't have that much money. Should you care if you're in college? I don't think so. Just go. But the one thing that Google Flights will not show is something like Southwest. So if you are someone who wants to just double check all your options, I would also check on Southwest to see if there's a hub, something like that. Now with Google Flights as well, there are certain airports that are hubs. So you have to look for those while you're doing stuff. Now, if you're a student, there's also a website called Student Universe. You can look on this website for certain deals, certain special tickets for students especially. I used this a couple times. It didn't save me too much, like a couple bucks, but a couple bucks is better than no bucks, right? Like I'm not like teaching you guys to save like hundreds of dollars. It's going to be like $50 probably, but $50 adds up in the long run. Like, right? Like that's going to come into hotel play, Uber plays, like all that kind of stuff. Overall, the trip has to be cheaper. And if you're doing 5 or 6 of these a year, or even in this next 3 month span, every dollar counts, is my like philosophy here. So Student Universe, definitely a really good resource. Secret Flying is another site I like to use. This is specifically for like international travel. There's always like flights. So all I have to type in is like from Washington, DC here. And all I have to do is hit search. And it'll show me all the upcoming deals and what the sales are right now. Like right now, there's a nonstop from Washington, D.C. to Orlando, Florida for November to December dates, which means if I wanted to go to Florida for Christmas, which I am, I'm probably going to look at this trip and pick something. Another caveat I want to bring up right now is don't ever really book round trips unless you know you're kind of committed to your time frame. I'm usually committed to my time frame, so I book round trips across the board, but don't ever really book it if you want to save money. You can do like one airline, another airline if you're not loyal to airlines specifically, which you don't have to be with the Chase card. With the Amex card, you might have to be. I'm not entirely sure. But with the Chase card, you don't really have to be because you're getting the points anyway. And if you're not chasing a status, for example, I wouldn't really stay loyal to an airline. You don't have to. Kind of just fly whatever's cheapest if that's all you care about. And that's fine, right? Like that's completely fine. So you can book one ways, and one ways are completely fine. Skip Lagged, also really good. Skip Lagged is probably one of the sites that people like. A lot of flight companies kind of hate. There's obviously like flights that don't make sense where it's like you can't, obviously, if you're doing a round trip, Skip Lagged doesn't work because you have to skip a leg, obviously. And if you skip on your first leg, it'll just cancel the rest of your flight. But on the return flights, it's usually the best because it's going to be a flight where it's like, I don't know, there was a really, really stupid flight I had to take that was Toronto to IAD to, or Brazil to IAD to Toronto, back to IAD. And that was like $500, $600 cheaper than my normal LAIC flight. But I just did skip legged, and I took the initial leg, and I just literally got off on the first IAD flight. Or like, it was like I had to fly to Toronto and then take a different flight home to IAD, but my layover wasn't IAD. So I just never booked that final leg to Dulles, and I just got off. And so skip leg will save you a lot of money and a lot of time. So you can always check skip legged. Now matrix.eda software also does the same thing. We can put in your codes, and you can kind of look through this, and it's like very similar to like Expedia and like those kinds of sites where it'll like kind of pull from the same areas. Hopper is a phone app that I think you guys should all download. Hopper, you can put your dates in that you're looking for, and it'll tell you, is it hot right now? Is it low right now? Like, what is the current range of flights? Like, for example, some of the flights I'm looking at for the current regional circuit are hot right now just because it's holiday season and people are booking. Granted, we're really far out, so booking early doesn't mean anything. All you have to do is book 3 weeks in advance. As long as if you get into that 3-week window, you're playing a dangerous gamble. That 3-week window is where everything can spike. That's a very, very dangerous gamble. 21 days before your flight date that you intend on flying, start thinking about it. You should be done. You should have your ticket. You should be good to go. I book early because I'm a worrier. I worry a lot. Hopper will kind of give you an alert telling you when it's low, when it's high, once you've searched it one time and saved it. So it's very useful for people who have phones, and you should all have phones. Now, a big question that a lot of people asked is, when should I fly into regionals? When should I leave? Especially with people, if you're like a Friday to Sunday kind of person with work. If you're a Friday to Sunday kind of person, obviously you're flying in Friday after work, and leaving Sunday probably like 4 p.m. onwards. If you make day 2, there's a pretty good chance that day 2 will be done by 1, 2 p.m. at the latest, and you can make it to the airport, depending on how far the airport is. So 4:30 p.m., like 4:30 to 5 p.m. is what you're looking at to get home. But if you make top 8 at that point, obviously the caveat is that you're at risk of rescheduling your flight. It's pretty tough to do same day, but if you call them and kind of explain your situation, it shouldn't be too much more. I remember the only one that was like a pain for me to almost reschedule was an international flight for Berlin. But I think in most situations, people like Alex Szymanski and Christopher Szymanski have better experience than I do. But rescheduling a flight, if you call them and talk to them and explain your scenario to you, they could make it as cheap and easy as possible for you to kind of get through the situation. Airlines are there to help you, specifically if you talk to them. And yeah, but I always book with the intention that I'll make finals, and specifically with my job and my availability to work from home, I fly out Mondays because I don't want to rush myself. But in college, I also did the same because I didn't care. But the first couple of days of my job, I would fly out Sunday night. And so I haven't had a chance where I had to reschedule my flight, but I will book it as late as possible on Sunday, getting me back on Monday so I can get to my obligations that I need to get to. Now, that does mean you'll probably be dead on Monday. So take that with a grain of salt when you're going in. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a hard Monday. It's going to be a hard Monday. Sleep on the plane if you can. But coming in Friday, obviously you want to, if you're a college student, whatever, take whatever cheapest flight is available to you. Just get in there whenever you can. If you're a working person or have obligations, you're probably getting in later on Friday, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. I realize I forgot something, so I'm just going to kind of interject this wherever I decide to edit this in. But if you're booking a hotel, obviously Friday night, you're going to need a hotel. Saturday as well, if you're planning on making day 2. If you live in driving distance, you can kind of, leave. That's on you. But Friday, Saturday, and then depending on if your flight is later on Sunday, I would book for Sunday night if you plan on staying the extra night. Like, obviously it depends on your flight time. If your flight is Monday morning, you book for Sunday night. If you don't have a flight, if you're leaving Sunday night, then you just don't, and you can kind of leave your bags at the front at the hotel or wherever you're staying, or leave in a friend's room and kind of just grab them and go. So I typically book through Monday because I like to stay through Monday, but that's my hotel booking spiel. Now we're going to talk about hotels here. Hotel rewards. One of the best hotel rewards across the board. Wyndham. So for every hotel rewards program, I suggest just making an account. You should have an account for all these airlines. You should have an account for all of these hotels. You should be, because no matter what you book, even if you book one time, you are racking up points. Yes, some of them will expire. Yes, they will have like stipulation on some, but without making an account, you are just losing some of these points and privileges to the wind. And I think that is a huge L. I've been making accounts for everything since I was a young kid. Obviously, I need to be 18, I think. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. I didn't read everything. I just did it. But make an account. If you're the one booking it, if it's going on your credit card, if it's under your name, you should be booking the rooms or like having an account. And rewards points will stack. A lot of people have had COVID like pushbacks, so things don't get deleted. Wyndham, Hyatt, Marriott, these are like my three favorites to stay at kind of across the board with points and stuff in general. They give you a ton of points across the board. So if you stay like a couple nights, you will almost certainly have a free night on like your fourth or fifth night across the board. And like there's all of these are in like walking distance or like close enough distance to most of the major venues this year. So that's important to know. Choice privileges are your also a good one to have, an IHG rewards. And they'll be like your I don't remember exactly what choice privileges is, so we're just gonna open it. But choice privileges is like, why doesn't it say? Okay, whatever. I remember these are like the lesser, like less expensive hotels, but they're also good. Like Comfort Inns, that kind of stuff. Like Comfort Inns, it's like the one that comes to the top of my head. Days Inn, that kind of stuff. But also that's not bad to stay in. Radisson. So just make these, and obviously like Hilton Honors, like that kind of stuff is like very, very important to have. Obviously, I think just make an account if you have the chance, and kind of keep loyal to a hotel if it's cheap enough for you and within that option, and obviously room with other people, etc. So I pulled up the Overload events page too, because we're gonna use Orlando Regionals as an example because I went to school in Orlando, so I know the area a lot better than a lot of other people. So we're gonna, and like you see, the day has been changed. So April. So usually venues will have a room rate, specifically when registration goes up, or a little bit before registration, maybe around the same time. So keep following all these Twitter accounts, follow the Facebook accounts, whatever they have, the social media sites. And when they post their room rate, they're usually very, very reasonable, and they're adjacent to the venue or connected. So if you are someone who prefers convenience over like an Airbnb with like a big social setting, that kind of thing, just do it. Like I have had so many times where the venue hotel has been like life-saving for me, because in between the event, if I just wanted to during like a lunch break or something, I can literally walk to the elevators, walk upstairs, and like grab a snack, or like just lay down in bed for like 30 minutes because I'm still tired. Like it's very important to have those convenience available to you, and it's usually not that much more expensive than what like a Comfort Inn or something would be. Obviously, it's way cheaper than something like a Hyatt or a Marriott would be, but it's like, I don't know, like between like 80 and 110 a night is like where I'd like put the ballpark. Hotels.com, Expedia, all these things are very useful to search stuff. You can tell I'm literally looking at Frankfurt. These are the wrong dates where I'd be in Frankfurt. Hello. But hotels.com, Expedia, Google, all that stuff is like a great friend. And then obviously you can check Airbnbs as well, depending on how many people you have. Now, the biggest thing to think about with Airbnb is what I have learned while looking for stuff, obviously during the season, is Airbnb has become more expensive than it was pre-pandemic. Because whether there's less spaces to be rented, whether there is more fees across the board. I don't know why or what the situation is, but Airbnb has become more expensive. I think even more expensive than hotels in general, unless you have a big party. So if you have a big party and you have a lot of people you want to stay with, that's fine. Airbnb is completely fine. But I think Airbnbs are typically going to be harder to find across the board. So keep that in mind with a grain of salt. And when you think about an Airbnb, think about how far it's going to be from the venue for convenience sake. Because if you're going to be saving a marginal amount of money and you have to Uber every day, do you really want to Uber every single day back and forth? If you have a car, power to you. You're good to go. But all these factors have to come in mind when you search. So obviously compare the two when you're doing it. That one I can't like do for you. You kind of have to do it on your own when you search, because everyone's parties are different sized. Everyone's things are different across the board. Now, one thing to note when you land at airports is, rather than paying for an Uber or a Lyft haphazardly or renting a car, unless you really want a car, there are shuttles to a lot of these major convention centers. Especially this season, there are shuttles to almost every single one of the convention centers. I pulled up Orlando as an example. There are free shuttles that take you pretty much straight to the hotels nearby, and you can probably walk to your hotel wherever it is. You don't have to stay there, obviously. They don't ask. You can just say, and there's a bunch. So like there's like literally an Orange County shuttle that takes you to the Red Roof Inn, to the Orange County Convention Center, which is where we're going to be going. So this is important to look into, kind of do, because it is cheaper in the long run if you're just taking these free shuttles and knowing these timings. But if you need to, Uber and Lyft are both really good options. So make sure you have these apps on you just in case anything happens. You want to travel, go somewhere. Yeah, that's the travel aspect. I don't think I missed anything there. Obviously, if I missed something, you have a question, leave it in the comments. At this point, we're like 30 minutes in, so I'm going to try to wrap it up really quickly because I didn't want to make this as long as it is. So food. For events, obviously eating out is fine. I think eating out is like a luxury you should enjoy, but money is important. So what I like to do is find the nearest grocery store to wherever I am. So for example, from this venue, there's like a drugstore 0.2 miles away, which should be walking distance effectively. Or, Walmart. Like Walmart is your like staple. Everyone knows Walmart. Everyone knows like Walmart is good, or Target is good, or whatever. Or like Publix is really, really good for Florida stores. You get a couple of people in your room, go there, grab a couple bottles of water, grab your energy drinks, grab some fruit and nut bars, grab some fruits for the weekend, etc. If you're flying in, you probably won't have access to all these things ahead of time. So you kind of go and get what you need for the weekend and kind of stock up in your hotel room. Because doing one grocery trip is going to save you a lot more money than eating out 3 times a day for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, potentially even Monday, depending on how many you do it. So that's like a max of like 10 to 12 meals, a minimum of like 6 if you're there for the event. And like, I think getting a banana from a Publix and like one of those canned like iced coffees, if you're a coffee person, beats going to a Starbucks first thing in the morning, getting a coffee and a banana for like probably triple the price, maybe quadruple even. I don't know. I don't drink coffee or go to Starbucks. This is simply just me saying stuff. So if you're a Starbucks fanatic, I really, really apologize for this like slander. But I like to drink energy drinks, and energy drinks are always like charged up at these venues. So I would rather prefer going to a Publix and buying like a 4-pack of Monster for the weekend, or like a 4-pack of Red Bull for the weekend, and that's going to say that's like $7. That's like a $7 value versus me paying $4 on spot for one. And I know that value because I've done it in the past. You can buy stuff like croissants, etc. Now I looked up some energy efficient snacks because it is a long day at regionals. 9 rounds, best of 3, 50 minutes is not easy. You're starting the day at like 8 or 9 a.m. and we're not done by like until dinner. So. And dinner is like a loose term. It's like 8 p.m. So we're in a venue for almost 12 hours playing Pokemon. And there are some lunch breaks. And I think most of the time we'll have a lunch break, but most of the time we might not. So be prepared to eat. So fruit and nut bars, granola bars, that kind of stuff is very good. Protein bars, if you're like I'm a protein nut, so I'll be good. Fruit and nuts are good. Jerky is really good. Fresh fruit is really good. If you have a hotel breakfast available to you, use it to the best of your capacity. Hotel breakfasts are like a godsend. I don't eat very often, but I will like do an omelet in the morning before regionals and grab a banana, have some OJ, that kind of stuff. Make sure you stay energized. You will make more mistakes towards the end of the day, things you typically wouldn't do. So having that food available to you is very good. I don't bring an avocado to regionals. Please just don't. But yeah, like snacks, like having snacks on you at all times is good. I do think it's like very difficult to go through a day without eating. So if you don't want to go like to the vendor and buy like $5 to $7 like nuggets, chicken nuggets, basically, like, yeah. And then to kind of cap it off at the end, restaurants. The best part about regionals, in my opinion, is the after day one dinner that everyone does. We like get together, get a big group, go somewhere, have a fantastic dinner. You're all there for the same purpose. You all love Pokemon. Why not enjoy it with a couple of your close friends? Obviously, not everyone has to be there. We can't have I don't know if there's like 2,000 people at regionals. We're not having a 2,000 person dinner. I don't want to be at a 2,000 person dinner. Please do not invite me to your 2,000 person dinner. But this is like just a typical dinner. You kind of look around, kind of book something if you need to book something ahead of time. If you want to just find something nice, you can find something nice. You can find something like a McDonald's everywhere. McDonald's are everywhere. You can eat Taco Bell pretty much every day of the week. Nothing complicated there, but yeah. And so that's my kind of spiel and everything. Let me know if I missed anything in the comments below, because obviously there's a lot of information to take. I will answer your questions to the best of my ability, regardless. And if I don't know the information, I will try to gather it for you as best as I can. I love traveling. This is something I've been doing since freshman year of college for myself. Freshman year of college, I was like bumming it in cars to people's events. Like I was getting picked up. I didn't have any money on me, whatever. And then the remaining 3 years, I ran into some money, obviously, with Pokemon. And I kind of used that to the best. Like I efficiently used the money that I had at my disposal to travel everything. I did top 16 for the last 2 years. Basically, I went to every regionals available to me. And I went to internationals as well. And I did that all as efficiently as I could. So I'm trying to do my best to help you guys. With international travel, obviously, that's a little bit of a different story. And you can use points, miles, whatever's cheapest. You can look up secret flying, obviously, like I said, to find better cities to go from if it's easier for you. Like maybe New York has like a $500 flight to Frankfurt, as opposed to your city that has maybe like a $1,500 flight. So maybe like flying to New York and going from there would be a lot cheaper. One of the years for London, we all did a Boston flight for like $250. So flying to Boston was a lot easier than doing whatever was out of Orlando. So simple stuff like that. Again, obviously, if I'm missing anything, let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching. Sorry it was so long. I did not intend on it being this long. I'm really, really sorry. Just wanted to get as much information out there as I could. But thank you, and I hope I helped with your plans a little bit at least. Thank you. Have a good day, guys.